All right. Well, let's do the stuff.
Okay. Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son sit down and talk about a fantasy book. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim. Great to have you with us listening again here today, as well as those who are going to join us live for the recording. It's always a lot of fun to have people with us. How you doing today, Zach?
I'm doing okay. A little exhausted in a different way, but a good way. I spent the weekend out in Dallas for the Texas OU game. Unfortunately, OU won.
That's not supposed to be how that works, is it?
It was a mess. We blew them out of the water in the first quarter, and then we threw it all away in the last, 20 minutes maximum. Anyway, I also got to see the Texas State Fair for the first time, and a number of other cool things in Dallas. So that was fun, but I also got back about 10 minutes ago, and am now ready to start this recording with you and the episode with all you listening. How are you doing, Dad?
I'm doing well. I had a busy morning. I actually had to drive up for work, do something up in Tacoma this morning, a little over 2 hours north of me, driving through the rain because it's the fall now in the Pacific Northwest, so we get rain. But it was uneventful. Got up there, took care of my stuff, got back, and ready. I was here about an hour and a half ago. Plenty of time to plan what drink I wanted to pull out for this episode, as well as to make sure all my T's were crossed and I's were dotted.
So with that segue, what are you drinking?
I am drinking this cocktail that I've made up.
Ooh, it's an interesting color.
And in honor of what we'll be talking about today, I call it I Dream of Green Ajah. It's rather green. And that will make sense as we, of course, move through this episode.
What's in it? What's it taste like?
Well, the green primarily comes from Midori, but it's also got blue curacao, Malibu rum, a little Jägermeister, and some pineapple juice. So it tastes kind of fruity and tasty. Doesn't taste overly strong, but there is more booze than pineapple juice.
Does have plenty of booze.
I made one for your mom, too, and she's like, yum. So there we go.
Nice. That's always a winner. If
Jordo.
Mom likes it, it can stay.
Jordo says it looks like a spinach smoothie. It does look like that, actually. It's got that color, but yes, it tastes much better. Now, for those of you listening going, what? How does he know what it looks like? When we record these, we do have it open on Discord for all our Patreon supporters, and we do that with video, so they can actually see us. Those of you listening to podcasts later, sorry, no video. We might try to figure out how to do some live streams on YouTube eventually, you know, gotta hold new goals down the line, but for now, just audio.
Be a patron if you want to see us.
Yep, absolutely. We are not afraid to show our faces. All right, what are you drinking, Zach?
I had to throw together a quick classic, so I sloppily made an old-fashioned. Throw it all together and call it good.
So you say sloppily. You didn't spill any alcohol.
No, I just didn't exactly measure any ratios. So if I start slurring too much, it's because I made it a bit heavy-handed.
Okay. Well, there's not that much in that drink that you just showed me unless you just slammed a whole bunch of it before you got on the video. I think we should be fine.
We should be good. I did pregame with some Irish coffee at brunch, but not enough, and it was long enough ago.
You should be good. All right. Well, some notes before we jump into our content.
Ooh.
It's kind of a slow news week for Wheel of Time people.
You liar. You big fat liar.
Totally. Oh, man, it was a great week for Wheel of Time. As we're all looking ahead to the TV show that's coming out in just over a month. This was the week of New York Comic Con, and they had a pre-recorded panel of many of the stars as well as the showrunner Rafe Judkins. So an interview panel that a lot of us watched live. I did. I jumped in, watched it live. It was so cool to actually hear the characters, the actors talking about the characters they play, and to see how well they get their characters and they get the essence of Wheel of Time. That just makes you that much more excited about what's coming. One of the things I particularly enjoyed as well was hearing how the actors playing Rand, Nynaeve, and Egwene are all reading through the series, and they're getting close. Yosha, the actor playing Rand, is currently in Knife of Dreams, so he's got some really big stuff just ahead of him, and that's exciting to know. That kind of commitment that, reading through this series,
Absolutely.
want to understand where this is going. But then just the fun, of course, of knowing what he's about to read. And any Wheel of Time fan loves that.
And definitely seeing the actors kind of have that commitment to dive into it says a lot for their versions, adaptations, what's the word I'm looking for? It's representations. I'm not getting the right word, but it's fine. Their portrayals will be ideally made better for having read the source.
I think so.
And we appreciate that.
Welcome, Flamingo Sedai. Saw you just jumped in there. Great to have you with us. We're just basking and glowing in the fun of all that came out from New York Comic-Con this week, and the goodness of Wheel of Time content connected to the show.
Now, I do have to admit, a lot of what came out, I haven't actually had the time to watch through myself yet. So I know about what's in them, but I haven't watched them.
Well, I've watched enough to kind of make up for you, okay? I've watched plenty.
Yeah, I'll do it at like 1 a.m. tonight or something. Or does that count as morning? I don't know. When will I sleep? At some point.
Sleep. Yeah, who needs that?
Sleeps for the week.
Now, also then, what was put out was a clip, almost 3 minutes, straight out of the first episode. So we got to see real content from the show, and this was the initial introduction of Lan and Moraine when they arrive in the Two Rivers, walking into the Wine Spring Inn. It was fantastic. You get a feel for the energy and the way the characters are interacting, and just the nuance behind how they've produced this show. That was a lot of fun to see. Really cool.
We, like everybody else who's a fan of Wheel of Time, can't wait for November 19th to come rolling around and get 3 whole episodes on that first day.
Totally. And those will be binged by many people repeatedly. One more note that I do have to share then is just to highlight, and I've mentioned this on our Discord and on Twitter, your mother is finally reading The Eye of the World.
I'm impressed. I never thought that you would get her to do it. Granted, you didn't. Amazon Prime did.
Because she's going to watch this show with us, so maybe I should, finally read it. She does seem to be enjoying it. And she's getting it. She's now, I don't know, about 35% into the book. She's got a good chunk already done. And knowing the stuff she's just about to get to, I'm like, ooh.
She's not one for big world building or anything like that, but she's enjoying what she's getting. So we'll take it.
And because she's now covered this much content, she also watched the clip from the first episode.
It
because,
didn't spoil anything, had context, it made sense.
Right. And her comment was, that's not how it is in the book. As Moraine's flashing her ring. Hi, I'm an Aes Sedai. It's like, no, that's not it. I explained, it's another turning of the wheel. And kind of got a blank look from her. She didn't quite get that yet.
Honestly,
we'll get her.
That's fair. I wouldn't put it past anybody not to get that at that point.
Anyways, I'm sure we're going to all love this show. Yes, they're going to have changed some things a little bit, but the essence is still going to be totally there, and it's going to be exciting. Looking forward to it.
Well, with that out of the way, let's go back to our turning of the wheel, the one we're speaking of here today, our books.
Absolutely.
Dragon Reborn, starting with chapter 26 today.
Yes. So 26 is called Behind a Lock. And this continues the action directly after chapter 25.
Yes.
When Egwene had been given the slip, first by Else Grinwell, and then that other woman. Else had been there delivering some message on behalf of the Amerlin, she said. And Egwene had chased out after her to catch her when she left. But instead of catching up to her, she runs into this tall, beautiful woman in silver and white and has a weird conversation. And then that woman magically disappeared.
Like Lanfear does. Oh, sorry. Was I not supposed to say is Lanfear?
I surely hope everybody catches. We've had so many obvious times where a tall, dark-haired, beautiful woman in silver and white, yeah, it's always Lanfear. She might go by something else, but this is always Lanfear. But Egwene doesn't know that.
No.
She's not met this woman before. And she is definitely scratching her head, going, how did this woman completely disappear?
There were no doors, no nothing. How did she get away?
Well, no, there were doors, but she'd only turned away for like three steps and then turned right back. She figured there was...
So there wouldn't have been enough time to get there.
Absolutely no time, but just like we learned from Sherlock Holmes, when you've ruled out all the things that are possible, then whatever's left, regardless of how improbable it is, must be the answer. So she's looking in those other doors. Somehow, super speed, I don't know, she must have gone in one of these rooms, because that's the only explanation. So she's poking her head in each of these. Now, these are empty quarters in the accepted gallery.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of rooms. There's not nearly as many accepted as there are spaces.
No, and this is a trend we've seen and we've known. There's not that many novices anymore, and of the novices, not that many even are going to get to accepted, and then not that many of those end up with Aes Sedai. And so the tower holds a lot more than we've got.
Right? And she's poked in one, nothing there. Poked in another room, nothing there. She's poked in a third room, and as she's wrapping up looking in there, Nynaeve and Elaine come up. Not in a rush or hurry, just, Egwene hasn't come back. Maybe we should go see what's going on.
It was kind of strange that Egwene just, bolted out of the room earlier.
Well, no, they knew where Egwene was
They knew
going.
where she was going and why, but it's like, okay, she bolted out. Maybe we should go check on her. Yeah, that's probably okay.
Again, since she didn't come back, why just sit there twiddling their thumbs? They'll follow. And so they kind of share notes now on what happened, and Egwene's perplexed. Both Else and this mystery woman seem to have disappeared, and it kind of bugs me.
Mm-hmm.
Elaine suggests, do you think the woman might have been one of the soulless? A gray man?
Which
so that
is a fair
you couldn't
suggestion.
notice her anymore?
It's a fair point, but Egwene shoots that down because, honestly, how could you not notice the most beautiful person in the world? They're so...
This is someone you definitely notice.
Them.
And honestly, it would be a waste of that beauty to give her soul away. She wants people to see her. Come on.
And so, like usual, when they don't have enough pieces of the puzzle, they kind of dismiss one part out of hand because they don't know enough to actually dismiss it. They just, dismiss it. It's what they need to do. But it's also you don't have the authority of knowledge yet to rule that out. Come on.
Egwene's personal opinion is this woman must be an Aes Sedai. Just one that they hadn't come across yet. Nynaeve's like, well, okay, if you see her again, point her out to me. But we need to talk about and move on to things that are a little more important now, okay? Mystery women, fine.
We've got Black Ajah to hunt.
Yeah. More importantly, we've got this message that silly girl, Else, shared with us. And she's now probably gossiping to anybody and everybody who will listen that there's possessions in a storeroom just sitting there down in the basement from those women who killed people and ran out of the tower. We need to go check that stuff out.
So we got to check it, and we got to check it now.
Yes, before the news is out. There's really no argument from the others.
Mm-hmm.
They head on down there. What's it like heading down to this storage area?
Oh, it's all sunshine and rainbows, very well lit, wonderful.
Liar!
Yeah,
Liar!
I'm lying about as much as you were about what happened this week. This is a dingy, creepy, dungeonish type of place, which, let's just be real here. Why does this place exist in Tarvalon? Isn't the White Tower supposed to be the shining pinnacle of all that is wonderful? And yet this place seems to have almost fallen into neglect. Not really, but it's just abandoned.
Okay, more importantly, I'm like, why do the girls keep going to such places? They're not super bright.
Creepy library, creepy dungeon.
But, it's not like they choose that these are the destinations they're headed to. People just keep putting stuff in really sus locations. Now, you mentioned why. Why would there be a place like this? And I imagine, again, when the tower was a more bustling place, there were more people there, I don't think these places in the basement were quite so sketchy and abandoned.
No, but I sit here and go, yes, you could scrub pots in the kitchen, but how much more demeaning of a task to have to scrub the floors at the like sub 13 level basement. You go down to the lightless place and clean the walls with a toothbrush.
Nice. Lick it clean. Lick it.
Oh, no, we're not. I know the yellows could fix them, but no, we're not going there.
So Egwene's feeling a little creeped out as they go down here. Nynaeve's leading the way because she knows exactly where the destination is that Else had described. As they follow deeper and deeper into the sub-basement level, Egwene is struck by the thought, if something did happen here, we could scream and no one would notice. We might just disappear.
You think that might be the point?
Maybe. Feeling this way, she does something she's never done before. Something that's a bit of a throwaway line in the text, but really, it has considerable significance. Understand, there's no light down here. It's not like there's torches and sconces all the way down the hall. This is a dark space. It's not used typically. So both Egwene and Elaine are channeling little balls of light.
Yeah, one of the earliest weaves that they learn like as a novice, channel these little balls of light.
Right. And Nynaeve's not doing it because...
Well, she can't unless she's like pissed.
Exactly. As they're going down here and Egwene's getting all nervous... Well, Zach, read what the text says that happens right here.
She felt a lightning bolt form, or the potential for one, and nearly stumbled. She had never before channeled 2 flows at once, and it did not seem difficult at all.
What's so significant about that?
I mean, to me, it's the fact that she basically effortlessly jumps from one level of skill and ability to another. And it shows the progress that the mess that was Shan-Chan captivity did to improve Egwene. That she can effortlessly, while weaving one thing, summon up weaves of battle channeling.
That might come in handy later on to be able to handle more than one flow at once. I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, they quickly arrive then at the room they had been directed to, and they find a lock and chain on the door. No other door they've passed has been locked. And honestly, everything looks like no one's been here in forever. But this one room is all locked up tight. Now, finding it locked, what does Nynaeve do?
She gets pissed.
Starts throwing a temper tantrum. Yeah, she's upset. She's furious. And she starts ranting about it. The only room that's locked, blah, 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 blah.
Honestly, Elaine does the one thing that you should never do to a woman. She turns and says, calm down. You don't tell a woman to calm down.
She says, I don't want to calm down.
I've gotten this lesson ingrained in me by many people, and I think it's a good lesson for me to learn. Don't tell a woman to calm down.
So have you been using this well in your current relationship with Rach then? Not telling her to calm down?
Oh yeah, no, things are great. I don't tell her to calm down.
No, that's good.
Mostly because she's valid in her ire.
Hopefully you're not ticking her off either.
No.
All right, well, Nynaeve, yeah, she gives her lip. Don't tell me to calm down, but Nynaeve actually wants to be furious. We'll talk about why in a moment. But in the meantime, Egwene, who's got a lot more experience with Nynaeve, she just tuned her out. I assume over the years, she saw Nynaeve's temper. Plenty of tantrums.
Enough people got thumped with sticks.
Right. What Egwene's trying to do is something she figures is more practical. She's actually looking at the lock. Now, we're reminded through Egwene's thoughts here that she has an affinity for earth, including metals, which was discovered during her time as a Damane under the control of the Shan-Chan. Using the power, Egwene does something. She's not quite sure, but it's like she's feeling and exploring inside the metal that makes the lock and chain.
Honestly, Egwene being willing to throw caution to the wind is great for her developing skills. The fact that we know as a reader very early on, if you go too far in the unknown with channeling, you could literally make yourself explode. Maybe I'm trying to I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm trying something. Maybe that's not the best idea.
In this particular case, though, she's exploring with abilities she does know she already has. It's stuff she was forced into learning during her captivity. So I don't think it's as risky as one might think.
She's just never done it like this in this way.
Right.
She clearly can explain it away as being not as risky, but I don't think many Aes Sedai would look at her and say, you're okay doing that like that.
Now, before she can really figure out everything that she's doing with this metal, Nynaeve tells her to move. And now we see what was going on with the temper tantrum. So, Zach, tell us, what was really going on there?
Well, she's been working herself up enough that she can enter into this rage form and just, like, channel this bit of energy into... She's made a crowbar. She's gonna beat this thing.
Yeah, now she can touch the Force. She's mad enough, and she's created this, I don't know, glowing bar of metal. A pry bar, a crowbar.
She's going to force this thing open with her sheer anger.
Now, what happens next gives me a chuckle for a couple of reasons. One, Nynaeve is still really early in her experience with using the power as well. So she's created a pry bar that she's then going to use her own muscles to use to try to snap open the chains. And I'm like, okay, you got to learn how to use the power to do the work. You created a stick. A metal stick with power.
Hey.
And now you're still going to do the work.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sticks have been useful for thousands of years, and they will keep on being useful.
Jordo points out in the Discord that this is true to her character, though. You know, brute force, she's created a thumping stick. This one happens to be a pry bar, but she's going to thump on that lock. So yeah. she's being Nynaeve. There you go. That's fair. But the other reason it gives me a chuckle is she goes ahead and she looks at the chains again and, she mutters to herself, something about leverage, and suddenly the pry bar is longer, and then she reaches up and she goes and puts all of her force into it, and it snaps apart like thread, and she goes tumbling backwards.
Mm-hmm. The amount of force she was putting into it, entirely unnecessary.
Yeah, Egwene's like, I might have done something to it, it looks like.
Maybe you wanted to tell us?
And he was like, you could have mentioned that.
That way we wouldn't look like an idiot?
Yeah.
Thanks, Egwene.
Okay, they have access to the room now. They go on in, and it's a deserted room, except for 13 bags of heavy brown cloth. Each bag sealed with the Flame of Tar Valon. And each of these bags has a name on it. Not a real shock to discover it's one bag for each of the 13 sisters that left the tower.
And so as they kind of enter into the room, Egwene again jumps at, let's try something new. And it works without exploding, so we're good. She takes her light and just puts it on the wall. She says,
kind of
hold this for
rubs
me.
it on top of her head, creates a little static electricity, sticks it over there. Yeah.
But it works.
You've done that with the balloon. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I try not to, just because, I'll be honest, my hair's thinning a little bit, and I like to keep what I can, so doing that, I lose way too much.
Yeah, your thinning hair, my apologies.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, sorry. But some of it will last a long time, I can tell you that. It's
sure.
Just the top up there.
You see, that's a pretty important part. Just saying.
Hey, Rogaine, if you're really worried, there's stuff you can do. I'm like, embrace the bald, like Jordo said. Embrace the bald. You're not going to go fully bald. You could be like Uncle Patrick.
We'll see. I don't... Yeah. At this point, I'd have to see like a dermatologist before I went bald. I got some moles.
So the hair's got to keep hiding it for now, as you're saying?
Shaving would be weird.
Yeah. Wow, we've gone down a tangent here. So moving back to these bags of stuff, they've stuck, Egwene stuck her ball of light on the wall.
And because she did, Elaine now saw her do it and goes, oh, I can do that too.
Right. Now, not so shocking, though, because Egwene's the one that just figured out how to do it. No one taught her. She just, I think this might work, and boom, it worked. Elaine watched her. And we already have it on the record that if you watch a sister do something, you may be able to copy it.
Quite literally, we know at least these 3 watch once and they're probably good.
Yep. With those up on the walls, now their hands are free, so they can all dig into these bags and see what they can find. Now, as they search through the contents, what they're really finding is a bunch of inconsequential stuff. But every bag has at least one item, one random piece of information that points at Tyr?
Honestly, let's take this one room, this one situation. How many people in this world do you think would kill at a chance to have 13 bags of random stuff and have to piece together a clue like this? That whole mess, spew things around the room, have a bulletin board with lots of string. You could make a very good business out of this.
Yeah, Jordo just put it in there. I was going to say the same thing, and it's an escape room.
More or less.
That's the kind of puzzles that people do pay to do.
And those are fun.
But, okay, this is weird, though. So this is just the stuff left behind by the women. I mean, they took some of their stuff. They took clothes, they took possessions. These are the things they left behind. Mostly all random, and yet each one has at least something that says very obviously they were heading to Tyr.
Yeah, one has a postcard. It says, "From Tyr, see you soon." No, not quite that obvious, but...
Another is like, see the sights, Tyr, the strip, woohoo,
Something like that.
Yeah. Egwene mutters as looking at this, going, why did the Amyrlin not mention this to us? I mean, this is pretty obvious. It's clear as glass. They all were going to Tyr. Nynaeve, she's like, I don't care. Amyrlin didn't tell us because, she's got her reasons. Her secrets, whatever.
She hasn't told us, anything.
Yeah. And I'm not even going to try to figure that woman out. But what troubles me, Nynaeve is saying, is this is way too obvious. It's like they all planted something for someone to go through their stuff and go, looks like they're going to Tyr. And so either it's bait to get people to follow them to Tyr, which would be, it's a trap. Or maybe it's a diversion. Like, we want you to think we went to Tyr, but really we went somewhere completely different and are doing something we don't want you to find. It made me think of what you've described about when you're doing things with D&D and your campaigners who get too caught up then in trying to puzzle out, what does this really mean?
It's that moment between, are you trying to figure out and outsmart the puzzle or trying to figure out and outsmart the person who made the puzzle? And in this case, as far as they're aware at least, it's just a series of random events that made this puzzle, unless it's an intentional puzzle left by the Black Ajah. And so they don't even know if they're trying to figure out someone who left them a puzzle, but they could be.
Right. 4 questions stick before them that they're going round and round talking about. Does this mean the women have all accidentally left clues revealing that they're heading to Tyr?
Feels like a mighty big coincidence.
Right. Or does it mean that they were so confident in their abilities that they don't care that people may know they're heading to Tyr?
That would be unfortunate.
And in fact, come at us, kind of thing.
That's not so great for our 3 hopeful Black Ajah hunters.
And so if it is truly bait, if they are taunting them, are they hoping that people will follow them to Tyr? Are they down there waiting to catch/kill anyone who comes?
But another possibility that springs up is, if it's so obvious and they're trying to get people to go to Tyr, is that the complete opposite direction that they actually went? Is it just a red herring?
That's right.
A wild goose chase.
Maybe they've gone to the Borderlands. Maybe they've gone to Falme. Maybe they've gone tanning in Tanchico.
It could be literally anywhere on this vacay of theirs.
Mm-hmm. There's really no way to know for certain. I mean, they could talk about this all day. They're not going to be able to figure it out. It's all a guess. So what they do is they gather up the clues. They leave all the rest of the stuff just scattered all over the room. But, okay, they've got the clues with them. And the chapter ends with Egwene squeezing in her hand that ring, Terangrial, the dream device, that she's still carrying with her.
Remember, Nynaeve had said, I'm going to use it tonight. And Egwene went, no, I am. So we still haven't hit tonight yet.
Right. And she's saying to them, when I use this thing, maybe that's when we'll know the truth.
We'll find answers in dreams.
That's right. Because, of course, they stole those Terangrial, and a whole bunch of them were tied to dreams. So maybe I'll learn something by using one as well.
It's a kind of fun nod, Tolkien-ish here, as a joke and seriously. Just that all this centered around this ring. And for me, in the, Peter Jackson movie score, the Howard Shore song that has the Lord of the Rings theme, it's titled In Dreams. And so I just think it's really fun to kind of throw all that together.
Absolutely. But that's all they can deal with on this for now. Tonight will take care of itself. We need to go because we got to get to the kitchens. It's time to do chores. Okay, chapter 27. It's called, what is it called, Zach? How do you say that word?
We've already been through this. Teleran Riyadh. Teleran Riyadh. Teleran Riyadh. We're going. Sorry, it's exciting.
There's a ditty? You got a little ditty you can sing?
I'll write one for next time. It's fun. Fun place.
All right. So, Teleran Riyadh. And if you out there listening say it a different way, you can hear what we just said and take it two different ways. You can take it as, we just taught you the right way. So, change.
Or you can take it as, we're wrong. Come yell at us. Find us on Twitter or Discord. We'd love to see you.
I mean, it's not an English word, so you're making it up, however you want. But Teleran Riyadh is what I like. The chapter begins with an opening in Egwene's new room in the Accepted Gallery. She's in the same section as Nynaeve and Elaine. They all have rooms right nearby each other. All three of them are gathered here late that night, feeling nervous about what they're about to do. And what are they about to do?
Well, they're gathered here together to witness the
not a marriage.
Going to sleep.
Stop it. Stop it.
It was my turn. You've done it every week. And it was my turn. No, they're gathered to watch Egwene go to sleep and make sure she doesn't, die in her sleep by sudden slashing trauma across her neck or something. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. So they're going into the unknown with a new adventure. But before that proceeds, we get a little quick review of the day to that point. They'd been down in the basement earlier, but then they'd gone off to do some chores, and they'd been in the kitchens over the course of all 3 meals for the day, and the Amyrlin had never come to check on them. So they couldn't talk about, okay, this stuff, these clues, what are we supposed to think about that? Why didn't you point us to it? None of that.
Now, truthfully, as we think about this for a moment, at first we're going, man, why isn't the Amyrlin coming down? Why are they not checking in? What's going on? These girls keep wanting to talk, but they just can't. And then we sit here and go, it's been 3 days. It's been 3 days.
That's it.
It's reasonable to be no, I'll give you a week, and then I'll come check on you or something. It has not been long enough to really be that concerned yet. But they're paranoid and terrified and have way too many questions. For good reason.
A little bit. So the Amyrlin never stopped by, but they were visited by other sisters while working in the kitchens. Varen's visit was the most direct. She stopped by while literally all 3 of them are on the floor, on their knees, with their heads and hands inside of the big soup kettles, that are used for cooking. And they're inside, scraping around, cleaning these things out. Think cast iron.
How big are those things? Those are massive.
You don't put it in soap and water. You just scrape the stuff clean, okay? And so it's hard. It's elbow grease, They're really working at it. And Varen comes along and says, have you found anything? That's all. Just belt out a question.
I found some grease and sweat.
Yeah, that's Nynaeve's answer. Elaine, it's hilarious. She hears the question and she jumps and bonk. She hits her head on the inside of the kettle. But yeah, Varen is just kind of the clueless brown. Not even noticing, is anyone around who might overhear and want to know what I'm talking about? I don't think there was anyone to overhear, but...
Or is she?
So that's Varen's experience with them. Just checking on their progress. Alana stops by at one point, seemingly to pick up some food and wine, but stops on to ask Egwene if she'd like to know more about the Green Ajah, and inquired when they were going to begin their studies. Again, you mentioned it's only been a few days.
Now,
But
granted,
accepted do have to study.
And at her accepted test, Egwene had asked Alana specifically about the Green Ajah. So it's not unreasonable to follow up on that. Egwene's a little hesitant because she's still sitting here going, why are you so pushy about wanting to be with me? Step off, please.
But it was a fair question in that while accepted have the freedom as to just what they study and what pace they study, these girls haven't even begun their studies. So, are you thinking maybe you want to move towards it at some point? I'm kind of curious. Elida stops by after dinner, so late in the day.
Great.
And all she does is stand there and stare at them. Kind of, death dagger eyes. Doesn't say anything, doesn't ask anything, just stares condemnation.
Thanks, Elida. We appreciate your support.
Sheriam Sadai, the mistress of the novices, she stops by and kind of does the same thing. Just stares at them.
It's a slightly kinder stare.
Disappointed.
Maybe. It's
Not
that
much.
moment. She's not mad. Elida might be mad. Sheriam, she's not mad. She's just disappointed. Pulling the dad move.
Yeah, I mean, Sheriam's in charge of the punishments, and the girls are being punished, so sternly looking. And they have one more visitor, Anaya. Anaya stops by. Now, what's the connection with Anaya again, Zach? Remind us.
Anaya is the blue sister that we know specifically in connection to Egwene and thinking that she might be a dreamer. That's the biggest, most important connection here for now.
So she comes to check on them. And as she looks at them, she's got more concern on her face. Like, oh, the poor girls. Until she notices that they've seen her. Then she gets the same stern face that Elida and Sheriam had. It's like the official line is you must be disapproving of these girls.
And with so many coming by, it calls to mind to remember that these girls, their punishments were proclaimed through the tower. This is something that all sisters would know. They're being forced to do this. It's a punishment. And it kind of is an open invitation to come watch their punishment, their shame. Not really, but it is.
Now, there's been a couple of questions being kicked around in the Discord server right now about the girls cleaning in the kitchens. Why wouldn't they be using the one power to clean? And I think in general, they don't get to use, all the accepted, don't get to use the power for their chores because it's part of learning discipline, learning patience. But also, these girls right now, this is a punishment. So even if sometimes the novices, and it's mostly novices doing chores like this, even if they could use the power, I think these girls would be forbidden from using the power right now, because this needs to be gritty and dirty and yucky.
It's that military theory of break you down to build you back up.
The other thing, why these particular sisters to come and stare at them?
They're the ones we have their names. I'm kidding, but... Not really.
We do know a few more. But they are ones that, perhaps Robert Jordan is wanting us to wonder, why are they checking in? Are they black? Are they ones we should be worried about? Should we be paranoid about these sisters? And of course, they've already had their concerns about Alana, about Sheriam, and definitely about Elida. Anaya really hadn't come into those discussions yet. But
who knows?
She is another one, and any sister could be black. So, all these visits, they could just be curiosity. They could have deeper meanings. There's no real way to know. It's just more for the girls to worry about. To angst over.
And so as they fill themselves with angst, they turn towards the object of their current ire, the Dream Terangriel ring.
Yep, this is where they're at then. It's the evening. It's time to actually do something. We've spent all day not being able to do anything other than just worry. Now we can do something. So Egwene, she changes into sleep attire so she can get comfortable. And as she's preparing to lay down with this Dream Terangrial, she hears Elaine commenting again about apparently something she's been talking about all day, particularly since Alana had stopped by. And that is, Elaine is leaning toward Green Ajah, because then she could have multiple warders, maybe even marrying one of them. What could be better? Unless it is... And she kind of stalls off in what she's saying. And Egwene is catching, she's clearly now thinking about, better than marrying a warder would be marrying Rand.
I mean, who says not one and the same?
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, at least in her head, Egwene's clearly going, nah.
Yeah. Egwene does still feel that little twinge of jealousy. Rand was mine. Oh, wait, no, he's not mine anymore. Let that go.
I don't care.
But she also has sympathy for Elaine because, okay, you're the future Queen of Andor. Trust me, you're not going to be able to marry the Dragon Reborn. There's no way that's happening.
That's just not going to work out.
Nope.
Lions and dragons don't mix. Just ask Game of Thrones. It doesn't work out.
Star-crossed lovers. Not happening. Egwene then announces, okay, I'm ready. And she ties the dream ring around her neck. Nynaeve says, hey, maybe that ring could work for two people. Maybe we should both try to get to sleep holding on to it. Maybe then I can be there with you and I can help you in Teleron Riyadh. Egwene's like, yeah, I don't think we should try that, because the only way we can use it is going to sleep with it, which means if it doesn't work, we'll still be asleep. There's no way to know until we wake up. So we could end up wasting the whole night. I think I just need to go in by myself.
Better to take this one step at a time and not waste a night in doing so.
Right. It's too critical. We're already kind of behind in this hunt. We need to use this.
Besides, if someone did come in this waking state, just walked into the room and tried to, murder them in their sleep, it'll be easier to stop them if there's two and not just Elaine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So she'll feel more protected with both of them there guarding her. So with that, Egwene does lay down, tries to get to sleep. She's focusing on discovering Teleron Riyadh, the unseen world, the world of dreams. And then she's there. She's drifted off.
Yeah, I'd say it's easier said than done, but no, it's said and done.
Yep. One moment she's trying to get to sleep, the next moment apparently she is, because she's somewhere else. She finds herself standing out on some hills amongst the woods and wildflowers. It's a beautiful spring day. There's butterflies all over the place. She looks and she's wearing a fancy sky blue dress. Happens to be her favorite color, she says. Slashed with white on the skirt, and that is not her favorite color. White and gray being two colors she kind of detests. Why?
Because it reminds her of specifically her time leashed with the Shanchan.
That's the gray. What about the white?
No, the white was her dress, the gray of their dress.
Huh?
Now, novice white specifically is the other
Yes.
thing that she draws into. But
Right.
basically, all the things of holding her back and down.
Yeah. So those are colors that are behind her. She doesn't want to dwell on those anymore. She wants to focus on moving forward. So as she has that thought, that white slash on her skirt actually changes to green.
Well, that's interesting.
Well, again, green. Green Ajah.
Well,
My drink. Green is a great color.
yes, but seeing your skirt change color right in front of you, it's pretty interesting.
Kind of reinforces that this is not the real world. I'm in a dream here.
Yay.
So thinking of that, she reaches for the dream ring. It's still hanging on a cord around her neck. But when she picks it up, she notices, wow, this is totally different than in the real world. Because it's a heavy, solid, piece of stone this ring is made from. But here it feels light as a feather. She's like, if I took this and threw it up in the air, I think it would just float away. That is really kind of different.
Yeah, Egwene, that's not how gravity works, but also Teleron Riyadh, so maybe.
Maybe it is how gravity works in Teleron Riyadh.
If she wants it to.
And this goes to, why is she here? She's here to learn some things. So maybe she's going to learn about gravity. We'll find out. About one of the only things she does know already is that supposedly this is a dangerous place. That's what Varen Sadai told her and showed her, that scar she has from her one experiment with Teleron Riyadh. But Egwene looks around and is like,
Doesn't look so bad to me.
I don't see danger. This looks really nice.
Maybe Varen was just wrong, or she believed it was dangerous, and so that's why she was able to say that. I said I can't lie.
That's right. The three oaths prevent her from lying. So she said it's dangerous. She has to at least believe it's dangerous. But she could be wrong. So, okay, Egwene's here to learn things, but she's also here particularly to learn about the Black Ajah. Those 13 that left the tower, what can she learn? So she's going to try to explore and experiment with Teleron Riyadh with the goal of learning a bit about the world of dreams while trying to find out answers to these Black Ajah.
Yes, so step 1, can she channel?
Yep. And she tries something and ta-da, it works.
Well, that's good to know.
That's good. Yeah, she can still touch the one power. What next? She figures, I should look around. Zach was just trying to kill another gnat in his apartment.
No, it's still the same one. It's the one.
Maybe there are no gnats in the world of dreams. Wouldn't that be nice? No gnats.
It'd be nice. It's just the one. I just haven't gotten it yet.
So she figures she should look around, and she takes a step and is somewhere totally different. Well, that's new. Okay, you can move locations by just taking a step.
Interesting.
Now, where is she? She's in a dark hallway of an inn. She recognizes it as an inn because she grew up in an inn. You know, it has a certain feel, a certain look.
What's up with Egwene and all the dark places these chapters?
Well, she wasn't just in a dark place. She was on a beautiful hillside.
No, but she keeps going to weird dark places.
Well, I guess there's just a lot of weird dark places in the Wheel of Time. In this inn, everything's quiet. Oh, nice, Jordo. Hello, darkness, my old friend. That's what he posted in the server. Yeah, darkness, I get it. It's a reference. In this dark place, everything's quiet. No noise at all. All the doors are shut. She looks at the door right in front of her and wonders, what's in there? Wonder who might be in there. And as she's thinking it, the door just swings silently open. And ta-da!
That's a well-oiled door. No creaks, no
Yes.
nothing. You like it.
And she sees a fairly bare room except for a big dog curled up on the floor and Perrin. Her friend Perrin is sitting there. He's sitting on the floor, leaning up against a stone column in the middle of the room. He's only wearing his small clothes.
Oh.
And he's kind of wrapped in chains
to
the to this column, except that the ends of the chains are in his hands.
Yeah, he's not like actually chained up. There's no lock, there's no tie. It's more just wrap, and hold. Maybe flex.
So what would you interpret that to mean, Zach?
That
The book doesn't tell us.
it seems to be some kind of illustration showing the restraints that he puts upon himself.
Could be. Very psychoanalytic. He's holding himself back.
Meanwhile, he also has a good boy next to him.
Yeah, he is a good boy. Egwene calls out to Perrin and discovers, that's not a good boy.
Yeah, it is.
Because Perrin doesn't wake up, but the dog does and turns and looks right at her with its yellow eyes, and she realizes, that's a wolf. And not a dog. That's a wolf.
Yeah, it's not just a good boy, it's a very good boy.
That's not how most people think of the wolves.
Well, most people are wrong.
And it opens its mouth with all its sharp teeth. Oh, the better to eat you, my dear. You know, I'm kind of getting a little Red Riding Hood vibe here.
Wolves get a bad rap.
The wolf rises and starts approaching her, and she starts crying out, Perrin, wake up, doofus, Perrin! And a great line, tell it I'm a friend!
I mean, she knows Perrin can talk to wolves.
Mm-hmm.
She can't. She tried. She got laughed at.
She does finally wake Perrin up, and he sees Egwene. He's like, Egwene! And then he's like, Hopper, no! Because Hopper is obviously the name of the wolf.
The goodest boy.
And bunching up like he's about to spring at her. And at that point, the door swings shut, and she's away from the danger.
Back in darkness.
Back in the darkness. It's kind of a
Just
theme.
keeps happening.
However, she doesn't really like being in darkness. Okay, finally, she's getting a little smarter. I don't want to be here.
That'd be good.
So she thinks, I don't think I want to be here at all anymore. This Teleron Riyadh's not real fun. So wake up, Egwene. Wake up. Come on, wake up. And she can't wake up. She's still here.
That's a problem.
Yeah, she's still stuck in the darkness. However, being here a little longer, she starts to realize, hey, this isn't complete darkness. It's just dark. And I'm outside. I'm in the woods. I can start to hear the crickets and the night birds and the frogs and whatever, nighttime woodsy sounds. And looking around, she sees off in the distance, a little ways away, what looks like a campfire.
Interesting.
She can see it out through the trees. And she thinks, maybe I should wander over there and see what's going on. But then again, that might not be a good thing over there. I just ran into a wolf that tried to eat me, so...
And if push comes to shove, she just found out wanting to wake up doesn't wake her up.
All right.
So she doesn't really have a ripcord here.
Yeah, I guess I need to be careful. But she doesn't see anything else she can do, so she heads to the fire. What does she find? Well, there's a tall young man sitting there staring into the flames. And who does it happen to be?
Oh, look. Hi, Rand. Good to see ya.
He hears her before he can see her and says, "Show yourself." And she steps out into the light. Ta-da! Hi, Rand. It's me, Egwene. Remember? You were going to marry me? Hi.
Not all of that.
Okay, she doesn't say
Thank
all
goodness.
that, but she expects to be recognized. All right? And his reaction is not at all what she expected to see. Because he leaps to his feet and he looks very dangerous.
Yeah.
She's like, Rand, what's going on? Remember, Egwene, you like me? I'm your friend. And he accuses her of being another attempt of the Dark One to trick him, to hurt him. As he rambles on, apparently he's already seen his mother and his father previously, both of whom tried to kill him.
At least one of whom we know is dead.
So he probably could figure out that wasn't really his mother, and yet it's a dream.
But it leads some credence to this possibility that people who shouldn't be able to be here, yeah, you're coming to try and kill me, right? That's what you're here for, right?
We're all trying to figure out this world of dreams. Egwene says, Rand, don't, it's okay. You're just dreaming. I must be in your dream. And he's like, I know I'm dreaming. It doesn't matter. The Dark One can still do stuff. I have already endured my mother, my father, but you, this is too much. Not you. I can't imagine you trying to kill me. This is too far. Dark One, you will not do this to me. And he literally creates a sword out of flame in his hand.
Firebender for the win.
He's got this look in his eye that he's going to use one of those swinging through the bushes, one of those sword forms, cat across the courtyard.
We call it the burning bush when the sword's on fire.
The burning bush. All right. He's got that clear look. He's going to take care of Egwene. Now, she doesn't... Okay, this is enough. You're going too far, Rand. So she tries to kind of get control of this, and she channels at him. Gonna wrap him up in some air, make him listen to sense. And Rand just kind of flicks the sword and cuts her weave. The power rebounds back at her. She grunts, she staggers. It's like, whoa.
Well, that's terrifying.
What just happened? And he's like, yeah, I've learned some things. Okay. This is not going well.
Please don't kill Egwene.
And now Rand, with that sword of flame, comes at her, and she's not sure how, but she flees and suddenly is just back where she began.
Well, that's good.
That pleasant wildflower hillside.
Much nicer surroundings.
Yeah, and away from scary Rand. And she thinks to herself, this is not going very well.
No.
I mean, what have I learned? Okay, I've learned the Dark One is after Rand. Okay, we knew that.
Yep.
Duh. The Dark One wants to kill Rand. Okay, maybe that's new, or maybe it's just Rand being paranoid. Maybe he's starting to go crazy. The madness taking hold.
Or maybe neither of those things, but it's also still not new.
Mm-hmm. She'd really like to help Rand, whatever's going on with him. But at this point, she only knows one thing that she could do to help, which would be to gentle him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's as good as killing him. She will never do that, she thinks to herself. I will never gentle him.
I want to add in a little piece here. She probably doesn't know how to gentle him. She can, conceptualize it, but it'd be another one of those trying to stick the light on the wall, hoping she does it right.
Well, and she could certainly facilitate it to happen.
Yeah, just walk out of the dream if she ever wakes up and tell someone, hey, my friend Rand, he's the Dragon Reborn. Go gentle him.
I mean, gentling is not something one person can do. It's a group effort.
Could be.
No, I'm pretty sure we know from the books. One person can't gentle someone.
We'll save that for the spoiler room.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily specific, but sure.
Okay, we'll talk more about that afterwards. People are dropping spoiler bar things in. Which we won't read out loud then.
I'm just glad to be proven right.
Oh, well, that's if they're right. They could be wrong too. Who knows? All right, more about that later. Where are we going to go now? Egwene's like, okay, I came here to learn something we need with these black sisters, the Black Ajah, the sisters who've left for wherever, and I'm not getting that information yet. So what can I do? she grabs a hold of that dream ring, and she even not just concentrates on it, but channels into it a little bit and says, "There's no place like home. There's no place like home." No, wrong.
Okay, she
wrong
doesn't,
movie.
but
Sorry.
she does maybe tap her heels. No, not that either.
She says out loud, though, "Take me to where I need to be. Take me to where I can find an answer. I need to know what the Black Ajah wants. Take me to the answer." And her eyes are closed, and she's just wishing this, and then she hears, "Well, you found your way at last, child. All sorts of answers here." And she quickly opens her eyes, and she's not on the hill with all the butterflies or anything now. Instead, she finds herself in a great domed hall with massive red stone columns all around supporting that domed ceiling. And in the center of this massive room, there's a sword of crystal floating in midair. She believes it's the same sword she'd previously dreamed Rand reaching out for.
I feel like it'd be recognizable. Like, why do you have to believe it's the same sword? You would know it's the same sword, right?
Maybe it's a little different to actually feel like she's here as opposed to whatever the way it looked like in her dream.
Weird.
We didn't get a lot of details on what it looked like in her dream.
No, I just think it's a weird turn of phrase by Robert Jordan.
Well, but keep in mind, what she saw in the dream may have only been a glowing sword and Rand reaching for it with no context, nothing around, no columns, no dome, nothing like that. And she doesn't see Rand right here. So she's putting the two and two together and going, I think that's the sword.
I mean, that's all possible, but we also like floating swords. There can't be that many, right?
I don't know. I haven't studied enough. Maybe that's a common thing.
Nah, we know it's not a common thing. Come on.
Okay, probably not.
Who are you trying to mess with here?
Now, she had heard this voice. All sorts of answers here. And as she's looking around this room, an old woman steps out from behind a column, comes out of the shadows. Ugly as all get out. I kind of picture the crone from the original Snow White movie.
She still creeps me out. There are plenty of gross or scary things in this world that I am fine with, but for whatever reason, the old woman from Snow White gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, we've got a heebie-jeebie moment here then, perhaps. This woman, she calls herself Poor Old Sylvie, claiming Egwene knows her, that she has served Egwene's family faithfully for many years. And then here's an odd quote. "Does this old face still frighten you? Don't let it, my lady. It serves me when I need it. As good as a prettier." Okay, this is all pretty rich. There are clues all over this section here. And when you reread it, it is really obvious. But we're sticking with our spoiler light approach. Mm-hmm. So, Zach, are any of these clues things you'd want to emphasize for a first-time reader, and so that maybe they can connect the dots?
I'm going to let you decide on that one because I have been thoroughly distracted by the old crone that showed up in our Discord. I looked down and went, "This is your fault, Dad. This is your fault." And my mind went blank immediately. So
you're giving Zach the heebie-jeebies, guys. You're doing it to him.
And I'm assuming this is a GIF, and I don't even have my page in a way that it can move right now, and it's creeping me out.
Oh, it's even better when you let it move.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Did.
We're not doing it.
Well, I'll point to one particular thing, and it's the last part of the comment that old Sylvie says about her face. It's as good as a prettier. It serves her when she needs it.
Interesting.
There's some implications there. So if you think it through, you might get what she's implying. But we're not going to tell you. Raffo, if you like, or ponder it and it might come to you. Now, Egwene follows up on Sylvie's claim that she has answers, and their conversation reveals some. So here's what we get.
Tell me more, tell me more.
This is the Heart of the Stone.
Cool.
A place none but the High Lords enter, and of course, servants.
The High Lords of...
The text doesn't actually say, but I believe Egwene knows we're talking about the Heart of the Stone is in Tyr. I believe she knows that, because later in the chapter, they talk about it being in Tyr, what she saw. So she knows this is a place in Tyr, and the High Lords of Tyr are the only ones that go to this place.
Speaking of some of those High Lords, some of them might not be. Specifically, we hear that the Forsaken, they're pretending to serve the Great Lord, this Dark One, but they're really plotting and planning to regain what they've lost. And truthfully, that includes power and fame throughout the world. So much more.
Speaking of Forsaken, Sylvie says Ishamael is a fool. Just kind of a random comment that she blurts out in the midst of all of this.
Where have we heard that name before?
Sylvie talks about some weird things. She does identify that floating sword as Kalendor, known as the sword that cannot be touched, and for a reason.
You sure it's not a colander?
It's not. I'm not straining my spaghetti with this.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Kalendor.
You'll never live that one down.
But I can be better. Sylvie demonstrates why it's called the sword that cannot be touched. She swings her staff at it, and it bounces away without getting any closer than a foot to the sword, like there's an invisible barrier. Kalendor, she says, is also called the sword that is not a sword.
Weird.
Though few know what it really is, she says.
Well, that's weirder.
And she mentions only one person can touch it.
Who's that?
The dragon Reborn.
Of course it is.
So, using the power, Egwene explores this invisible barrier that she just saw the staff bounce off of, and she finds there's a wall of power. The one power has been somehow used to create this barrier. She can see Saidar, but she can also see there's parts of it that she can't see. Like there's something there.
It's like when you look at the universe and you see matter and you know the dark matter is there, but you can't see it.
Yeah. But it's clearly part of this barrier. She infers she's sensing Saidin, the male half of the power, which of course, as a woman, she cannot sense. She can't truly see. So whatever this is somehow used both parts of the power in creating this barrier. At this point, they're interrupted by the sound of boots. And Sylvie states, "He's coming to stare at it again. You must leave. He mustn't find you here." And they walk away from the center of the room into the shadows of the stone columns. And Egwene, okay, I'm trying to comply, she tries to use the ring to return to the hills again, go see butterflies. Nothing happens.
Nope.
Sylvie comments on how dangerous it is to have come here without knowing the way out, and tells her she will help. And Sylvie grabs the stone ring around Egwene's neck. Egwene's like, "You don't need to touch that, leave that alone." And she hears, "Safe in your bed." And then feels intense pain. And then is sitting up in her bed shrieking.
Maybe safe is a bit of an overstatement.
Yeah. In her bed, she's like checking herself for injury because that was really painful, whatever just happened. But there's nothing.
And she's felt that horrible, horrible pain. Not a single mark.
Nope. Now, Nynaeve and Elaine are kind of startled. They're with her. They light some candles. What happened? Tell us about it. And Egwene talks about the whole experience. And she states, after going through everything, okay, next time, we're going to decide on a time limit. Like, we're going to set a timer, and you wake me up at that point. Because that was really unsettling not being able to get out.
Yeah, we're going to go down to the kitchens, grab the egg timer that they leave there, and just, it'll go off, and it'll be, wait, we don't have an egg timer? Oh, okay.
No egg timer. We'll talk about how they do time things at a later point. Now, Egwene kind of starts to herself a bit, though. Wait a second. I just had this horrible experience, but I'm already planning on going again. I'm talking about the next time. Huh. Our good old Egwene can't let something go.
That's true.
After the full debriefing, they come to the agreement. The Black Ajah are indeed targeting Tyr.
Absolutely.
That's why she saw the heart of the stone when she, show me what I need, and boom, she ended up there.
They all also fully agree that Admiral Akbar is correct. It is indeed
It's
a trap.
But Nynaeve states, hey, the best way to catch whoever sets a trap is to go spring it and wait for that person to come.
The closer you are to danger, the further you are from harm.
Of course, when you spring a trap, try not to be the one hanging up in the net that's now dangling from a tree.
That'd be good.
It's not where you want to be when you've sprung it.
I'm sure it'll just be little teddy bears that come to poke you with sticks.
I mean, at least if you have R2-D2 with you, you can get out of it. I've not seen an R2-D2 in this.
Anyway, Star Wars aside.
Putting their thoughts together about the clues and the fact that the Amyrlin clearly wanted those clues found but hasn't checked in with them, they decide their hunt for the Black Ajah must be intended to follow the 13 sisters to Tyr. So Elaine notes, okay, I guess I'll need to write to my mother, because, I already vanished once without any word and made a complete mess. I dare not disappear again without any word to Queen Morghese. So how do we do that?
Well, you could always just, not go.
That's what Egwene suggests. Yeah, you could just stay in Tar Valon this time. But Elaine's like, no. Okay, for one thing, I'm not going to stick around here when I have to worry about every other sister maybe being a dark friend. Or when's the next gray man going to come to take me out? Not even to mention the fact I'm not about to sit here doing all the chores in the kitchen while you two go off adventuring. That part was a little entertaining, and I totally get that. There's no way I'd stick around and keep working in the kitchens. I'm gonna go get in on the fun. It's kind of how they're seeing adventure. So, just have to figure out a way to get a letter to my mother. And just so she knows I'm out of the tower on the Amerlin's orders.
It'll be super vague and say absolutely nothing.
I don't need to say where. I don't need to say why. That's right. I'm certainly not going to mention, I'm just hunting Black Ajah. No biggie.
And I'm sure it won't cause any problems.
Now, there's one tricky part.
Just one?
The Amerlin doesn't know Elaine is working with Nynaeve and Egwene. And in fact, they'd had a frank conversation at the beginning not to bring Elaine into this. Maybe later, but not now. So we can't exactly go to the Amerlin and ask her to send a note to Queen Morghese. That will blow up.
They need some other reliable way to get a letter to Camelin.
Yeah. Perhaps they can come up with a way to send it along the journey.
Like, if they're just a town off, they'll just send a letter and it'll work out.
That's it. As they head down to Tyr, they'll kind of go past Camelin. Not straight through it, but, it's along the way, sorta. So, yeah, maybe they could reach a town where they can dispatch a messenger.
It's Camelin adjacent.
They're not sure exactly how that would work, because you got to pay a messenger, and they don't really have any money left.
But that's tomorrow's problem.
Yes. We've got to get to sleep. We're definitely going to leave tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go do our morning chores, and then we will pack up our stuff and be gone before midday. But we're exhausted. So, sleep. Especially because, Egwene, you didn't get any rest in what you're dreaming. So we need to do some real sleep now, and then have a fresh shot at tomorrow.
I kind of love that Egwene goes, I don't want to be alone. The others are like, yeah, me neither. And so they settle in for comfort cuddles. It's great.
Yeah.
Comfort cuddles are great.
Yeah, Nynaeve looks at that bed. Now, this is funny. But it's funny for reasons I probably can't point out yet. Nynaeve looks at the bed and says, yeah, I think it's big enough for the three of us. So again, pay attention, perhaps down the road as you're listening, as you're reading, if you're a first-time reader, to Nynaeve and beds, maybe. But it doesn't come up in this point. Just, okay, they all kind of squeeze into this bed and try to make it work. They're trying to get comfortable. And then, before anyone can drift off, Nynaeve starts laughing. And Egwene's like, what? Why are you laughing? What's going on? And Nynaeve's like, I just thought of the perfect person to deliver your letter. Someone who would be happy to get out of Tar Valon, happy to go to Camelin on our behalf.
They'd be eager to leave.
Yes. And her words are perfect. She says, in fact, I bet on it. And that's the end of the chapter.
Tune in next time to find out what that means.
That's right. So this actually has us halfway through the book.
Woo!
Like when you hold it up and I look at the page we just finished, yeah, we literally have gone through half of The Dragon Reborn. Very cool. So, before we do move into our spoiler room section and full spoil a couple of things, we'll just thank our first-time readers for listening along. You're going to be wanting to get out in a moment, but as always, we'll remind you, if you're enjoying this, please tell people, rate it wherever you can, write a review if you'd like. We'd love to hear it and get the feedback. You can send us direct messages at fantasyoftheages@gmail.com. We'd love to welcome you on our Discord server. Talk to us there, along with a growing community of people who all love fantasy fiction, The Wheel of Time, and other stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, The Expanse, Foundation, Harry Potter. I mean, whatever kind of fantasy and sci-fi fiction you like, we've got a spot for you. Links to Discord are in the show notes, as is our email address, if you didn't catch it when I said it real fast. Plus, how you can find us on social media. Where do they find us, Zach?
Twitter would be best. It's where we're most active and where we will be able to interact with you most. But if you're just looking for the booze, hop on over to Instagram, where you'll find our posted drinks and recipes. We do exist on Facebook, though less often as any of the others. But if you shoot us a message there, we'll be sure to find it as well.
And finally, a couple last ways you can be part of this podcast is check out our merch shop. A couple of things you can buy to represent for Fantasy for the Ages there, and consider becoming a patron. For as little as $1 a month, you can support us, keep us excited and encouraged, and therefore be able to participate in our live recordings and access other benefits like early drops of our episodes and special episodes we make only for our patrons. So I hope you'll take a look at Patreon.
You too could creep me out with the evil hag from Snow White. That could be right. You.
Could be. But that's it then. We're going to be moving to the spoiler room, so if you're jumping out now, we'll just say, hey, thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you next time.
But for those of you still sticking around, welcome to the spoiler room.
And I keep putting in the sound effect there, which
Yay,
is much cooler. Yes. All right, so time to roll. I'm going to get out that honkin' huge death weapon you sent me.
Again, don't dent your table. We're not looking for
that. No, I'm rolling it on the floor and making sure I don't drop it on my foot. This would really hurt if I dropped it on my foot.
Hold it up to the camera for those on Discord for us. I don't think they got to see how big that is.
This
nice solid metal. It's
dangerous weapon. It's awesome. Okay, I'm rolling it. Roll yours.
Right.
Nice. I got a 17.
Well, I got a nice solid 8. So you're first.
I win. All right. What I'm going to spoil this time is, all right, we've been seeing Lanfear
a lot
all over the place. Okay. But we've seen her somewhere else that it's not at all obvious to the first-time reader, and that is that Else Grinwell is Lanfear. In this scene where she was in the last chapter, and they reference her again here. So this message from the Amyrlin was not from the Amyrlin.
It's total
the
bull.
whole arrangement for them to find all these things and get this information was a setup by Lanfear. And so even Else Grinwell that Matt ran into back a couple chapters ago, that was Lanfear in disguise, which is why she didn't recognize him. And Lanfear is this master of disguises. And we then had Sylvie. I mean, come on. Sylvie, Silver. It's Lanfear, people. Lanfear is everywhere.
Wait, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
And so Lanfear is actually the one who's really wanting them to get these clues and go to Tyr. She's playing a long game here, and it's not necessarily in alignment with all of the other Black Ajah.
After all, she did say some of the Forsaken want to get back what was theirs.
That's right. Sylvie's words, she talked very disparaging about the other Forsaken. And that's really what Lanfear thinks. Lanfear is in it for Lanfear. No one else. And she will take on any costume, disguise, whatever, that will move her forward. Discord is asking, is Lanfear helping Bilal? And I say no, don't see that at all.
Only insofar as it helps her to further that plot and use it to her advantage.
Yeah. I think she does have interactions with the other Forsaken, but she's pretty, closed off as to what she's actually doing.
She knows what's up, but she's not going to help them. Not really.
Yeah, if she's cooperating with them, it's only when it's serving her purposes. So that was my spoil. Else Grinwell and Sylvie. Lanfear!
For mine, I'm going to just a throwaway moment, and it's less a spoil. I mean, it is, but it's just using stuff later on in the books. We had a discussion earlier about whether or not a single person could gentle. And while technically I don't think we see any examples of a single person gentling someone, we do see examples of a single person stilling people, which is the same thing, just the other side of the coin. And the one that I'm going to specifically bring up is a very famous one, considering it happens at the whole mess around the box and then Dumai's Wells and that whole mess, as Rand single-handedly kills a bunch of Aes Sedai and stills a whole bunch of other ones.
Mm-hmm.
So not only can one person still one person, but they can also still, 7 at once. if they're powerful enough.
We're not just talking about one person. We're talking about the Dragon Reborn there. He is a special case. There's no one anywhere close to his power level.
Yes, so maybe not one person could do 7 at once, but I think it's not too big of a leap in logic to say people could definitely still. And I believe there are some other examples, but that come to mind. Most of the other examples of something like this are more like permanent shields that get put on people, like the fate that we see of a certain Black Ajah later on. But this is something that can be done with just one person. It just requires a certain power imbalance or taking them by surprise.
I got the impression from the formal process of where the Red Ajah go ahead and capture male channelers, they bring them to the tower, they pass judgment on them, and they gentle them, that it's a group thing. Now, maybe it was just a misunderstanding on my part, but I always felt that was something. They take them to the trader's court, and they have the gentling that takes place.
The best they can, they do. But I believe there's discussion of sometimes it happens out on battlefield at other times. Sometimes men who were thought to channel but can't are brought in, and that ceremony is done anyways. It's more tradition and ceremony to go through that process and have a specific number of Red Ajah do it or something. No, it's the idea of what is safe and necessary to do it. You want as many as you can, but you don't need any more than one.
Fair enough. All right, now we do have questions in the server to get back to. They want this more information about Nynaeve and beds. And that was simply a reference that there will be many times where Nynaeve and Elaine, or Nynaeve and Egwene, and it's more Nynaeve and Elaine, are traveling together and sleeping in the same bed, and Nynaeve is famous for her elbows. She does not sleep well with others in beds because she's a sprawler. She's poking all over. You cannot be comfortable sleeping with Nynaeve, apparently. And so the fact that she looks at the bed and says, oh, there's enough room. It's like, yeah, she's the one that would think they could all fit. The others never, Nynaeve never has issues. It's whoever's sleeping with Nynaeve that has the issues.
I think some lands wouldn't complain.
I'm thinking Lan is tough enough to handle the elbows.
He catches the elbow.
That must be it. Maybe there's some Valkyrie way that she actually, there's a little bondage involved so that she can't be doing elbow stuff. She's all wrapped up tight. And
we are not that kind of fantasy podcast. We are not that kind of fantasy podcast. Well,
for the spoiler room, we can go places we normally don't. I don't know, but Lan would insist on a king-sized bed, Jordo says.
I like the joke, but also, no. Lan would refuse a king-sized bed as long as he could and say, no, we're not doing it.
I am not raising the golden crane of bed size.
I am not raising the golden bed sheets.
All right, we've gotten silly now. I think it's probably time for us to wrap this up, yes?
Silly just now? But yes.
Yeah, okay, we've gotten silly a couple of times. 2 or 3.
But I think that is a fair place to leave it.
I've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it too, son. Always good to talk with you about these silly things. And thanks for being here with us. Thank you for those of you who've listened. Next week, 2 months from now, 2 years from now, whenever you found it, we're glad that you're with us along for a journey. And we'll talk to you next time.